Welcome back from the break. It's still TV3Newday, and the conversation on the mighty, and I mean almighty E-Levy is still on. Well, government says that they are considering, or they have considered, slashing it to 1.5%, and I'm not sure if that will be approved by all members in Parliament by end of week or not. But if you've been confused as to what exactly the calculus on this matter is, Alfred Okanse, one of our colleagues, of course, right here at Media General and at 3FM 92.7, the host of Sunrise, is here to take us through the calculations. But before we get into all of that, the founding chairman of the Ghana VAT Service Board and the former flag bearer aspirant of the NDC, Spio Gabra, says the best way of introducing a tax policy is to take into consideration what the citizens say and develop it into an effective communication policy. He was sharing this experience as head of the Communications Committee during the introduction of the value-added tax VAT in an earlier interview with Alfred Okanse. Let's take a look.
I'm talking to you as a communication professional that even in the time of President Rawlings, he had to suspend a very good tax initiative. VAT has been with us for more than 20 years. Value-added tax. I was the first chairman of the value-added tax board. The board itself, because I was also the chairman of the Public Education Committee, to convince Ghanaians that the value-added tax is a good measure. So what it took 18 months. 18 months of professional communications skill sets, which I can't get into today, to convince the Ghanaians so that when the VAT eventually was re-established, that's not a pinfair. Everybody understood it. And people were even clamoring to become VAT registered, even though they were not VAT eligible. That's how well we had communicated the VAT. But earlier, because the VAT was not well communicated, the people of Ghana, through demonstrations and other things, rejected it. And President Rawlings had the wisdom to say, well, if they don't want it now, let me withdraw. And let me now get some communication professionals to re-engage with the Ghanaian population for a certain period of time.
Let's know if you agree or disagree with Spio Gabra. Our comment section on all our platforms are open. Let's know what you think. But let's just quickly go to Alfred Okanse. But of course, my colleague Johnny Hughes has also joined me with this discussion. Good morning, Alfred.
Morning,
so rare to see you on Monday morning on our screens.
Absolutely.
It's so rare. I've been dying to ask you this question.
Right.
They call you the head of state. Is there a reason?
Head of news.
Head of news.
Yeah.
No, I am not the head of news. It is only Johnny Hughes.
Like literally. It's okay. Alfred, welcome. You look nice and sharp.
Why do you always do this to Alfred?
So it's fine.
You do this to Komla Kluche. You do it to Alfred. Why are you like this?
I'm innocent.
Do you know we are about to discuss E-Levy?
Yeah.
This is serious business. This is calculation.
Yeah.
That's
why we had to bring
the head of news
to explain.
I hear your head is loaded with a lot of calculus.
With cinnamon.
Charlie, you people are bad at the back. You don't have your talk back, do you?
I don't.
Good. You didn't hear that.
I'm not hearing all of that.
Exactly. Anyway, good to see you.
Good to see you
good
too.
morning.
Good to
Thank you
see
so
you
much
too.
for being here this morning.
Always.
So, Alfred, there's a lot of, if I can call it, miscalculation out there. People are a little confused. So, telcos have reduced their charges, or they've agreed to reduce their charges from 1% to 0.75. And our government is also telling us that we are inching downwards from 1.75 to actually 1.5. So, which one are we using for the calculation this morning? Are we sticking to 1.75?
Okay, so we're going to start from the known to the unknown. Okay, so just for the sake of emphasis.
Right.
So we know that it was 1.75. We did some calculation, some artwork we're going to show as we go on. And then also we'll do the 1.5 and then we'll do 1%.
Okay.
Just to cover all the possible scenarios.
Right.
Because there's also that possibility that there's another school of thought that's saying, you know what, if you really need this, reduce it to 1%. The likes of Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana, Legon, Professor Peter Cotti and others, AGI, all have waded in, reduce it to 1%. So we would analyze that argument. If it is reduced to 1%, what will be the impact?
Okay.
Also, what it stands now with the Finance Minister's proposal of 1.5%.
Okay.
What would be the impact if it stays at that? and if it is miraculously passed.
Right.
But I think that the point you made, what Dr. Spielgabria making before this is important. You ask the confusion in the public and then amongst the Ghanaian people. We are not to blame for that. Because in any process of introducing a policy, one of the cardinal principles in policy formulation and implementation is sensitization and education. And this that I'm about doing, calculating the various scenarios, it should have been the job of the finance ministry or the information ministry coming to the people, telling us specifically what will be the impact on you. But if you give it in percentage form and only talk about the bracket that has been exempted, it's not enough information for the people to appreciate the impact of this policy. And that's what Ekos Bugabra talked about, that if the people raise concerns, you take it into consideration. They suspended it for 18 months.
18 months.
3 years,
almost
actually,
3 years.
Yes, for VAT.
And then took into consideration the Komepreko demonstration concerns, and then what the Ghanaian people were also talking about, the business community as well. Reformed that policy and implemented strategic communication in the process. And eventually when it was reintroduced, even people who were not VAT eligible wanted to pay VAT because the understanding was there. But I don't know the policy for these town hall meetings that we're seeing as to whether these calculations we're about seeing will be done. But the first instance, we didn't see the first one.
I want to see a lecture from Dr. Baumia, for example, and not to take anything away from here, is the head of the economic management team. This will impact heavily on our economy. Dr. Baumia's silence is perhaps too loud. He needs to, at this point, take charge and speak and tell us, because this also dovetails into digitalization.
Yes, it does.
And he needs to speak to us. I mean, I'm imagining Dr. Baumia in opposition would have organized 3 or 4 lectures by now and told us, why it should not be done.
Absolutely.
He needs to be speaking to us at this point. And then you raise a point about the town hall meetings. I think that we are letting the communication come too late in the day. Because if you listen to a critical stakeholder group like the MoMo operators, who had not been consulted.
Over 400,000 of them.
Now, these consultations subsequently are happening because the minority in Parliament had raised a question about it. In fact, if there had not been that disruption in Parliament last year in December, the E-Levy would have been passed. Now, can you imagine where you pass such a critical policy, you have legislation to back it, and then the people who will implement it on your behalf are not on the same wavelength with you? Can you imagine the chaotic situation that we're getting? And I think that another thing that perhaps government, I know we'll come to that, is where we are not being told that whether we agree on 1.75, 1.5, whatever it is, 1%, is going to add on to the charges that the telcos originally take. So it's not just the 1.75 which is being blown around, and that understanding needs to be there.
And you're right about this, and that actually brings up questions about the level of honesty and transparency in the process of communicating the impact of this policy, because if you leave any ambiguity in the process of communication, it breeds miscommunication, noise, assumptions, misrepresentation, which will be to your detriment as anybody who's trying to implement any policy. So, I mean, let's go to this.
Let's get to it.
Yes.
Let's get to it.
For the 1.75, we may not spend too much time on it because now, according to government, that may not be what they are going with. But this is what the 1.75 will look like if they happen to go back to it. I want to show you on the screen right now. First of all, let's establish this 1.75%. This was the initial proposal by government. Now, there are 4 things that we need to take into consideration. First of all, that in the process of calculating this, we assume that the service providers, these are the telcos, have agreed to the 0.25% reduction. That is the 0.25% reduction as the finance minister announced.
Right.
We also assume that between 1 CD to 100 CDs, so-called poor, have been exempted. And you see, we need to also get clarity from the finance ministry. What are the metrics they used in arriving at this bracket?
To say they are pro-poor
of formulating policy. You let the people know the methodology that you used in arriving at a particular decision, the metrics you employed for people to understand that this 1 to 100 are indeed people who are poor, and that if you are able to send more than 100 Cs, then you are not poor. We need to understand that metrics.
If I am a Vodafone subscriber, for example, this will be no news to me.
Absolutely.
Because my network doesn't charge me for doing that. So is government trying to take credit for what the telcos are doing for us already?
That brings to the next question about a business decision that, for instance, Vodafone has taken. They are not charging for mobile money transactions.
Right.
MTN is charging, right?
Airtel Tigo as well.
Airtel Tigo as well. With the case of MTN, they are doing between 1,000 Ghana cedis and 10,000 Ghana cedis. They are charging a flat rate of
a cap of 10
Ghana cedis. And this forms, there are 3 types of transactions or tiers in the individual mobile money account. And I want to show you those 3 tiers.
Okay.
If we can see that on the screen.
Okay.
There are 3 levels in the mobile money account. So this is for the 1.75. The other one is specifically those ones that, for instance, for 100 CDs to 1,000. There you have it. The individual MoMo subscriber wallets. The limits for daily transactions. There's a minimum, the medium, and enhanced. The reason why we are limiting ourselves to the individual MoMo subscriber wallets is because the merchant wallet has a different limit.
Right.
For the individual wallets that we all operate, the minimum level is 1,000 CDs a day. A number of people have been moved from that because during the COVID, a lot of transactions took place. So a number of the telcos moved a lot of their minimum subscribers to medium. Medium, you can do transactions up to 5,000 CDs a day. Then there is the enhanced. Enhanced is 10,000 CDs a day. That's the limit that you can engage in transactions as an individual.
Right.
10,000 CDs a day, either transfer or withdrawal. That's after establishing that, we also take into consideration the fact that the service charge, according to what we have now, is 0.75%, as we're going to see. So with the 1.75%, I'd like that to be shown on the screen now with what we have. For the 1.75%, okay.
You need to choose the ink.
This is it. 1.75%. If you are sending between 1 CD and 100 CDs, it's exempted. Free. What government is explaining to us now is that if you are sending 150 CDs, you're going to pay the E-Levy on the balance minus the 100 CDs.
So you pay on the 50 CDs?
You pay only on 50 CDs.
Alfred, I'm sorry, but how about 110 CDs?
110 CDs, you pay the E-Levy on the 10 CDs.
Okay.
And remember,
off.
plus the service charge. So I'll calculate the E-Levy separately.
Okay.
And then the service charge separately.
Okay.
Now, for 50 CDs, if you help me with the calculation on the phone, you do 50 times 1.75 over 100. This is the E-Levy calculation. E-Levy. What do we get? 50 times 1.75 over 100.
You got it?
50 times 1.75. 0.875. 0.875.
So 0.875.
Yes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
Problem of the day.
0.875. That is what you have for the 50
50
CDs.
CDs.
The service charge for this 150 CDs would also, according to the finance ministry, be reduced to 0.75.
Right.
Okay.
Because as we established the 4 conditions, the telcos have decided to reduce their charge by 0.25.
Did they decide, or government coerced them, or some negotiations went on?
The communication is that they agreed to reduce their charges. And bear in mind, this is not a policy. It's not backed by any policy.
Right.
So they can
They
just
can
wake
decide
up and decide that they are
but
going
then
back to their
is it
1%.
not strange though? I mean, you come to that. Is it not strange though that until now, government was adamant on reducing anything they had proposed, 1.75, but they go in pressing on the telcos to reduce theirs. It sounds strange and and funny at the same time to me.
Well, you're right on this. They are
Because you want telcos to reduce theirs. Reduce yours. You say no
But they've reduced to 1.5
after the fight.
so
after the showdown, eh?
Thank you.
with the 150 CDs, the telco's charge will be 150. They are not calculating on the 50. They are calculating on the full amount.
Okay.
150 times 0.75 over 100. Please help me with that. 150 times 0.75 over 100. And, well, with specific mathematical language, if you say 0.75, you're only avoiding the values because before a decimal.
1.125. 1.125.
So, 1.125. That is for the telcos.
150 CDs.
Then maybe you can round it up to about 1.13.
Okay.
Add 0.875 to this, and that is the total charge you will pay if you are transferring 150 CDs if the E-Levy is 1.75.
I got 2 CDs. Am I correct?
0.875
Yes, I got 2 CDs.
plus. So it is 2.
But hitherto, we were not paying this much
We're
to
not paying
transfer
this
50
much.
CDs.
875 plus
Yes,
1.125.
So you need to establish that.
Yes, it's 2 CDs.
precisely. So this is the total. If
So that's
it
how much
stands
I will pay on 150 Ghana CDs.
No, on the 50 Ghana
on the
cedis.
50, that is for. This is what
Because
you're
the
paying
first
for
100 is
E-Levy.
free, right?
It's free. Yeah, that's on the, so in totality, if you're still
Precisely.
sending 150,
Right.
it's 2 CDs because the 100 CDs
Yeah.
is free.
It means that if you're
Precisely.
sending 200 CDs, that's 4 CDs.
Precisely, that's 4 CDs.
Ah.
But we'll get there. If you are sending the 200 CDs, it's actually, you take out 100 CDs and then you calculate the E-Levy on the 100
So I'm
CDs.
assuming that
So
100 is
I'm
free.
going to come to that.
They will do 50, 50, 2 CDs
50.
for 50. It
Precisely.
means that another 50
Previously,
is 4 CDs, right?
if you were going to transfer 150, you pay 1 CD 50 pesos.
That's right.
Without the E-Levy. Because it is 1% charge by the telcos. But now it's increased to 2 CDs, even with the reduction of the telcos and now the E-Levy introduction. So this is for if it is 1.75. So now we're coming to the Finance Ministry's proposal of 1.5. If this is reduced to 1.5, 150, you are sending, and the E-Levy is 1.5. Here's what's going to happen. Same thing, same formula. You calculate 50, so you just clean 50 times 1.5 over 100. Help me with the answer, please. So,
0.75. 0.75.
okay. So we have 0.75.
Yes.
If the E-Levy is at 1.5. Then the telco's charge remains the same because for them it is 0.75. So if the E-Levy goes to 1%, the charge of the telcos is constant. Let's bear that in mind. It doesn't change. because they have reduced it to 0.75 from the earlier 1%. So the telco's charge still remains 1.125 on the 150 Ghana cedis transfer. What is the total?
1.875.
1.875. So that is GSC 1875. What that means is 1 CD 85 pesos.
Yes.
So any value after the decimal point
No,
is
87. It's actually
875.
So let's just say is 1880.
188.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So any value after the decimal is pesos. So it's 1 CD 88 pesos. So the 1.5 E-Levy would only reduce the earlier 1.75 value of 2 CDs by about some 12 pesos.
12 pesos, yeah.
So you're still going to pay 1 CD 88 pesos if it is reduced to 1.5 on a 150 Ghana cedis transaction. And bear in mind, we are dealing with the individual transactions.
Not the enhanced, not the medium accounts.
Absolutely. If it is reduced to 1%, same formula. So we don't confuse our viewers. If the E-Levy is now 1%, the existing formula prevails. You are calculating on any value reduced by 100 CDs. So on 150 CDs, you are calculating 1% of 50 CDs, which is how much?
5
pesos.
5 pesos.
Yes.
5.
So 0.50. That's 50 pesos. Okay. So you have it here, 0.50. The telco's charge remains unchanged, even if it is at 1 CD. I mean, 1%. Add the 1.125 to the 50 pesos.
1625.
1 CD.
625.
625.
So you have 1 CD 625. Maybe 1 CD 63 pesos.
63 pesos, you round it up.
You round it up. So the value will reduce if
the E-Levy charge reduces.
But not with any significance, because it's just about some 30 pesos down from 1.75.
The question that's begging for answers is, can Ghana's present economy survive without the E-Levy?
Well, you see,
or will it crash?
Well, that's what the finance minister says, that we're in a very dire situation. I mean, I beg your pardon, we're in a dire situation, and the E-Levy, if not passed, would prove detrimental. But we're expecting just about 6.9 billion from the E-Levy. Check the books about how much money mining has given to us over the years on a yearly basis, around the same figure. Even the mining communities have not been developed. Just the mining communities.
Yeah.
And we're talking about almost over 300 billion we're losing as a result of the under declaration in the cocoa sector. How much we're losing to corruption and other leakages in the revenue generation system. Questions have been raised about property rates. Look, since the days of John the Baptist, we've been talking about property rates. The commitment to actually go out there and get it. There's reasoning that a lot of these properties that actually have to pay belong to the political class. And so the will to go after them is not there. You know, because it begs to reason why property rates, with the sprawling real estate industry in this country, we're still failing to effectively collect property rates.
You know that the 2022 budget had something on property rate. For example, it talks about giving it to private people. You read that in the budget. So the private company gets a portion of it, government gets a portion of it, and then the assemblies get a portion of it. That has been passed, by the way. So when you raise questions about property rate, key thing that comes to mind is, why am I paying property rate, for example, and the road in front of my house is
It's still the same.
It's still not good.
Absolutely.
Because you're raising money. And this was when all the money was even coming to the assemblies. And for onward submission to the consolidated fund and all of that. Now, we are putting it in private hands. And we're sharing the money, 40, 30, 30. So we're already in a difficult place. And I like the point you raised about the leakages. Too many of them.
Absolutely.
The excesses.
I mean, we can identify so many of them.
And the clarion call by the people is that we don't want E-Levy at this time. Do you get the sense that government is listening to the people?
Well, if what we have heard and seen is anything to go by, I mean, we don't need to be a prophet to know that government has a stance, has an unchangeable, very entrenched position on the E-Levy, and the communication clearly suggests that it's not something they're giving reason to what the Ghanaian people are talking about. And I heard Kojo Oponkumat say that the MPs had consulted their constituents on this. So whatever position members of parliament are taking about this E-Levy is with the backing of their constituents.
My MP
and
has
that,
not
to be
had
honest,
a consultation
I just
with
want
me.
to find out. Maybe the 137 MPs of the NPP. If their constituents are watching and listening to us,
They should let us know.
know if their members of parliament actually
should let
did
us
come
know.
to consult them.
Can
During
we-
the town hall
can we-
meeting, a question was asked that have the constituents been consulted as required by the law?
Yeah.
Okay.
The constitution demands that you, a member of parliament, before you go on to parliament to express a view or pass a vote on a particular issue, you go down to the constituents.
Yeah.
And he answered that there's been consultation going on with the constituents. So that then got me thinking that really the MPP MPs, 137 of them, their constituents actually back this E-Levy. That changes the dynamics of
if what Kojo
conversation.
says is true, because I live in a constituency that has an NPP NP, and my constituency I've not been consulted. I mean, I know around for news.
Did you see any town hall meeting?
Well, do we have
by-
the space to do it? That's the conversation. So those meetings, I mean, I don't know where Kojo had his information from, or whether he went to Ofuasia Yoruba to have a town hall meeting with his people. But I can say that in my constituency, nothing of the sort has happened. And I know many people who would say. So let's say, granted, that 137 on this side have been consulted. They've consulted their constituents and they agree. Can we play the devil's advocate and say, let's pilot the E-Levy in their constituencies for at least
And
3
see.
months, so that those people who they say have agreed to it will feel it for 3 months, and then they can tell us whether all of us can and should take it. 3 months, only 3 months. I mean, it only makes sense that if you were consulted and you agreed to it, then it should be implemented.
use you for
because
the
if I have
experiment.
not agreed to it, you cannot slap it on me. And there's precedence. 1995, we had to hold on after the Kumipreko demonstration.
For 18
people
months.
died. We went back in 2008 to 1998 to pass it. And this was even under the rulership of somebody who had worn a military uniform, come through power through the barrel of a gun, had transitioned into a democratic leader, were yet to defrost from the ice of military rule and all of that. This is a president who is a human rights lawyer, a president who was also part of the demonstration against VAT and asked for further consultations. Surprising that nobody seems to be listening to the voice of the people to say, well, this is a playback of 1995 and the journey to 1998. Can we hold on and ask the questions? Because I'm looking at the impact it will have on, for example, online businesses.
Yeah.
Somebody starts selling clothing, or they start selling food, or whatever it is. You're going to pay via MoMo. You're going to pay the delivery guy via MoMo. All of those ones will be impacted. And the vice president said we should use QR code to go and buy wachi. Now you want to tax E-Levy. If I want to pay via MoMo, and you are taxing everything, how do you expect me to plug into what you're doing? And essentially what we're going to be doing is to be repopulating the banking halls.
And also increasing armed robbery.
Yes, and COVID doesn't like that.
Armed robbery. We saw the number of armed robbery attacks during this period.
Right.
When on customers, the Ghanaian people, members of the general public, who had gone to withdraw money, and armed robbers attacked them, took their money. So we wanted to employ the process of digitization and then using a lot more of the virtual banking. Right. Okay, so I've listed a number of values here also to advance the argument. So if you are transferring 100 cedis as we've established, that's exempted. So even under 1.5, you are not paying any E-Levy. Under 1%, you are not paying any E-Levy. But the service charge of 0.75, that's 75 pesos, remains. Okay, because they have reduced it by 0.25%. So the service charge is going to be 0.75% as we have earlier established. Okay. Now, if we move the value to 300 cedis, according to what government is telling us, unless what they said is wrong, you will pay the E-Levy on the balance outside of the 100 cedis. So every value, take out 100 cedis. So you are paying the E-Levy on 200 cedis if you are transferring 300 cedis. Yeah. But the service charge
remains the same.
Remains the 0.75%. So please calculate for me 0.75 over 100 times 300. Then we do 1.5 over 100 times 200. Then, yes, please.
The first one is 2.25.
So this is...
Yes.
0.25.
Yes.
That is for the 300 cedis, right?
Yep.
Then 1.5 of 200. Remember, we are doing 200 because the E-Levy you are not paying on the first 100 cedis. So we are only calculating on the balance. So what do we have?
3 cedis.
3 cedis.
Yes.
Then 1%, if the E-Levy is reduced to 1%, you have how much? 2 cedis.
Yes, 2 cedis.
Right?
Yeah.
So if the total charge on a transfer of 300 cedis will be 3 plus 2, so that's on 100 cedis. If it is 1.5,
okay.
3 plus this, 3 cedis plus this. If it is on an E-Levy of 1%, 2 cedis plus the service charge.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's for the 5, let's go to 500. Same formula. Calculate 0.75 of 500 cedis.
Are we calculating on the 400 or on the 500?
This is on the 400.
Yes.
But for the service charge, please. So it's a good question you ask.
Okay.
The service charge does not take into consideration the exemptions of the E-Levy.
It's still on the whole amount.
The service charge is on the full amount.
Okay.
It is only the E-Levy that when you are calculating, you take out 100 cedis.
Okay.
So the telcos, they are taking their value in full. So let's calculate on the 500 cedis.
3.75.
3.75.
Yes.
Now let's calculate 1.5 of 400 cedis. 1.5% of 400 cedis. Because now we've taken out the 100 cedis from the value. And then 1% of 400 cedis.
If I'm correct, I got 6 cedis.
So the 1.5 of 400 cedis.
1.5 times 400.
1.5 times 400 cedis.
Yeah, I got 6 cedis. Am I correct?
So it's 6 cedis.
Yes.
You are right. 6 cedis. Then one CD of 400 cedis. It's 4 cedis.
4 cedis.
Right?
Wow.
So if you are looking for the total value, what you are paying on a transfer of 500 cedis, add 3.75 to 6 cedis if the E-Levy is 1.5.
That's 9.75.
9 cedis, 75 pesos. Almost 10 cedis.
Wow.
On a 500 cedis transfer or transaction. If it is reduced to 1% for E-Levy, you are paying 4 cedis plus 3.75.
So that's 7.75.
7 cedis, 75 pesos. let's go to 1,000 cedis. If you are transferring or doing a transaction, not transfer, just not just transfer withdrawal of 1,000 cedis. For MTN, they have a constant charge fee of 10 cedis.
Yes.
Between 1,000 cedis and 10,000 cedis.
It's 10 cedis.
Every transaction on the MTN MoMo platform, there's a cap of 10 cedis.
Yes.
It is a business decision they've taken. Because if you want to apply the same principle of 1.75 on all of them, they should have been taking more. But because, one, they have the largest MoMo platform and the competitors have also scrapped their charges, it's a pure business decision that, you know what, between 1,000 and 10,000, we cap it to 10 cedis. So now that 10 cedis is also going to be reduced by 0.75.
Okay.
So now we are calculating 0.75 on 10 cedis.
So that's 9.25.
So we are actually then getting. So now we're going to calculate the E-Levy on 900 cedis.
Okay.
Because we are taking out 100 cedis from the 1,000 Ghana cedis. So let's do 1.5 over 100 times 900, and then 1.5 over 100, sorry, the 1%, beg your pardon, 1% times 900.
1.5
yes
times 900 over 100 is 13.5.
13.5. 13.5. Just a second.
No, hold on. The first one.
Yes.
Okay, so
You're actually getting 7 cedis 25 pesos.
yes,
on the
7
first
cedi
one.
25 pesos.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So that's just for the 0.75% of the charge. So now 1.5 of 900 cedis. That is if the E-Levy stays.
13.5.
13 cedis, 50
0.5,
pesos.
yeah.
Then for 1 cedi.
Okay, we
know
have to
this.
go.
Yes.
Sorry, so let's wrap up
9
quickly.
cedis.
9 cedis.
Yes.
Right.
So if you're going to get the full amount of charge, what you're paying on the 1,000 cedis transfer, you add the service charge to this, if it is 1.5, and then the service charge of 7.25 to 9 cedis, if it is 1%. So bear in mind that every value that you are transferring, at least for the individual account, which is either medium, the interim, or the advanced enhanced one, which is 10,000 cedis per transaction a day, 5,000 cedis, 1,000 cedis. You take out 100 cedis, and then you calculate the E-Levy
on the rest. Alfred, thank you very much indeed. Alfred is the host of Sunrise on 3FM 92.7, also a lead anchor on News 360 here at TV3 and Media General, and it's also the head of news, literally. Yeah. Thank you very much indeed for coming.